Hello trainers! A few days ago Caesar B201 requested to watch cool trainer Nick getting his lowest possible score in bug catching contest. For this video, we'll go further and we'll learn everything we know about this particular and loved NPC in Pokémon Gold, Silver and Crystal. Also, I'll give my personal analysis and opinion about cool trainer Nick. So let's begin! First of all, the first time we can find him is in the national park, during the bug catching contest. However, not always he's participating. But when he's participating, we can have a small chit-chat with him before the results. He tells us he's raising fast Pokemon for battles. Which are the Pokemon that raise faster? The Pokemon bug type. Then, it makes sense he's looking for bug-type Pokemon that raise faster. So we could suspect his team is made of bug-type Pokemon. Anyways, when we are participating and cool trainer Nick is also participating, it's quite hard to get the first place for us in the bug-catching contest, because almost always he gets the first place. But despite this, it's not impossible to get the first place, leaving the second place to Nick. And now, let's talk about the Pokemon he caught during the bug catching contest. He always catches one of the following three Pokemon: Butterfree, Scyther or Pinsir. Usually, the Pokemon he catches with the lowest score, as Caesar B201 wanted to know, is Butterfree. It's documented he gets a score of 349 with this Pokemon. I tried many times, but the lowest score with Nick I got was precisely 349 points with Butterfree. In this video you can watch this score as well as how I beat Nick with a Pinsir. However, this score may vary a little because in other attempts he got 352 points with Butterfree. In any case, Butterfree is the Pokemon with the worst score which Nick can get, or at least that was my results for me in all the tries I did. The second Pokemon he can catch is Scyther with a score of 357. As in Butterfree, the final score in Scyther for Nick's score may vary a little. And finally, the Pokemon he can catch with the highest score for him is Pinsir, with 373 points, or at least that was the highest score I was able to see. Here, we have to keep in mind that the results may vary slightly, because in other gameplays, Nick got 368 points from Pinsir, and even, for some people, Nick's Pinsir got 362 points. So my tips to get the first place with Nick being present in the bug catching contest is to catch a Pinsir or a Scyther with the highest level you can catch, having its health points to the maximum, and hoping to have a streak of luck as to have a score higher than Nick, especially if he catches Butterfree. It's not easy, but it's possible to beat him. Also, keep in mind that these scores can vary a little for cool trainer Nick, but he always will catch one of these three Pokemon: Butterfree, Scyther or Pinsir. On the other hand, and this is my opinion, I think Nick lied to us the first time we talked with him. Why? Because he said he's raising fast Pokemon for battles. However, Butterfree, Scyther and Pinsir don't have a fast growth according to the experience points to get level 100. So I think he lied to us, and his main objective from the beginning was to win the first prize, huh? So now we know he has catched at least Scyther, Pinsir and Butterfree. However, after the bug catching contest, we can still find him again. He's in Union Cave, in the second floor basement. Assuming in the game there's only one cool trainer Nick and not two, here, his overworld sprite has red hair instead of the blue color hair we met in the national park. Perhaps Game Freak didn't pay attention to this detail when they programmed the NPC? An interesting point is that here, we can have a battle against him. However, to our surprise, he isn't using any of the Pokémon he caught in the bug catching contest. Instead, he uses Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle, all of them at level 26. But, where are the other 3 Pokémon he caught in National Park? In his Bill PC, I guess. Anyways, now let's analyze the hypothetical team of Cool Trainer Nick, with all the info we could obtain from National Park and Union Cave. If Cool Trainer Nick doesn't have more Pokémon catched and decides to evolve his Pokémon and to grow them to level 100, his team would be composed of Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, Scyther, Pinsir and Butterfree. In general is a good choice the combination of Grass-type Pokémon, Fire-type Pokémon and Water-type Pokémon, but I think this team isn't very well balanced as for the rest of his team, because 4 of his Pokémon are weak to Fire-type attacks. So in general he could win some Pokémon easily, however, other Pokémon would be a little difficult to defeat with this team. For instance, imagine we have a Blissey with the attacks Flamethrower, Thunder, Toxic and Soft-Boiled. If he doesn't have a good strategy against these cases, only with Blissey we could easily defeat Venusaur, Pinsir, Scyther and Butterfree using Flamethrower on them, and with Thunder we could defeat Blastoise and Charizard without much problems. All this combined with Toxic and Soft-Boiled when it's necessary. So we could say that Cool Trainer Nick is pretty good at catching bugs in the bug catching contest, but perhaps he's not very good at making team strategies as a Pokémon trainer. But as I said before, his team is my supposition. Perhaps we can find him again in other Pokémon video games. Everything is up to Game Freak. If you found this video educational and entertaining, please, show it by giving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate these actions, especially in a small channel like this. Also, feel free to comment and give your thoughts about Cool Trainer Nick. See you in the next videos and have everyone a nice Poke Day.